Chapter 2: Guidelines and Techniques for Communicating Circularity. Narration consists of telling a story by means of words and images that connect and empathize with the receivers. The aim is that the information has a significant effect on the users. Narration does not need to tell the users how circular a product or service is, but how good the experience would be, with special emphasis on the different advantages. Good narration may even make users question their values and actual decisions. Narrations are typically used in two phases: during the design process as a way to represent future, non-existing scenarios in a visual, simple and quick manner, and also they are used at the end of the design process to launch the product or service into the market. To elaborate a story, first we should think about the emotional qualities we want to evoke. This is in fact the main idea we want the customers to retain. Then it is crucial to learn about the audience and empathize with them. Next, we can create the characters and setting. At this moment, it is time to design the plot and construct the story, creating a through line and placing all the components on it. Once the story is drafted, we need to prototype and test it during several iterations until agreement. Final step consists in implementing it in the most convenient format and disseminate it. We should use specific and simple language and data, being original, and if possible, adding humor is also recommended. In this slide, we have some examples of narrations in the context of circular economy, like Veolia's circular economy, IKEA's safe furniture, and the stroller adaptable to more than one kid storyboard. Assignment 3. Gispen is a furniture company in the Netherlands involved in circular economy. Look at the cabinet become sofa or other repurposed remade example in their website. 1. Think of a creative story following proposed steps. And 2. Draft a storyboard of 8 scenes. This subsection is about educational messages which can be applied to foster a change in people's behavior. Society needs to understand that circular economy is an alternative, sustainable way. Educational messages should use simple terminology, communicate the benefits related to business, environment, and society, shatter the myths that might be anchored in people's minds as taking care of environment is against economy. An example of educational message is the KATCH video about circular economy. Calls to action search a massive support and a kind of answer by people. Answers can be in form of signing a request, making a donation, reproducing a symbolic act, etc. Calls to action may be addressed to governments, institutions, and companies. We have two examples: the Stop Food Waste in Europe campaign and the phone blog's call to action. Cognitive dissonance is the discomfort we feel when we are aware that our behavior is incongruous with our values and beliefs. This is what makes cognitive dissonance more powerful to produce changes, since it is a challenge to a person's self-concept. To reduce dissonance, one needs to rethink his or her actions or to justify them. Steps to address cognitive dissonance in the context of circular economy are: first, identify beliefs that go in line with circular economy. Secondly, identify behaviors dissonant with those beliefs. And finally, show alternatives that would reduce that dissonance at the same time approaching to the circular economy paradigm. Assignment 4. Imagine a user that needs to change his or her kitchen. Think of alternatives that would reduce his or her cognitive dissonance towards circular economy following the steps mentioned before. This subsection describes the circular economy communication canvas. It is based on the traditional business canvas and identifies the 8 elements needed for developing an effective circular economy communication. These elements are: first, market research. It means to analyze how the market is. We also need to take into account the target audience, the core values followed during the supply chain, the creation of visually engaging products and contents, focus on the important messages, the channels that should be used to communicate. We must study the competence products, and finally, which feedback loops should be created. Assignment 5. For the case presented in Assignment 3, Cabinet becomes a sofa, fill in a communication canvas. It is very important to pay attention on how information is represented when a communication strategy is to be implemented. During the design process, it will be necessary to collect the data that demonstrate the advantages and impact of the circular product or service solutions. It is important to think and elaborate attractive, original and direct ways to show the information so the message communicates better. We will explain the following slides how to communicate circularity through statistics, infographics, circular economy related icons, butterfly diagrams, and others. Statistics synthesizes in a simple way numerical data that can be broad and difficult. They are objective and easy to remember. In the example, we can see how numerical information is highlighted using different sizes and colors. Statistics and visual information may be shown in combination, and in these two examples, circular economy in furniture could create around 156,000 jobs in the European Union, and a plastic bag takes about 100 years to break down. Assignment 6. Think of a company that dismantles doors from buildings that will be reformed. Then the company mounts these doors in other spaces, like social houses, associations, venues, etc. 1. Compare this circular approach against its linear landfill alternative. 2. Search or estimate numerical data to reflect the differences. You may hypothesize about the company's size and workload. 3. Think about the simplest and the most direct way to show numerically the advantages of the circular alternative. And 4. Show the numerical data like in the previous examples or in a different way. An infographic is a more imaginative and non-obvious representation that combines very explicative images which synthesize complex information and text. The example shows the cost breakdown of the first Fairphone and represents in little blocks of different colors the detailed intervention, production and operation costs, among others. The use of specific icons facilitates communication. These tables show quite representative examples of icons for the different processes in circular economy. The use of these symbols in circular economy communication is desirable so that the consumer assimilates them and facilitates circular economy products comparisons. Assignment 7. Insert some of these icons in the storyboard created in the assignments 3 or 5 for the purpose of making them more communicative. The butterfly diagram. It is a technical scheme in the shape of a diagram with loops based on Ellen MacArthur's circular economy butterfly diagram that will be adapted for each particular case. In the example, the 4 loops in the diagram represent the processes that a circular window goes through, in contrast to the linear or traditional way of consumption represented in the vertical line. There are other kinds of examples, such as the one in this slide. The value of one live sofa is compared to its value in the case that its life cycle is increased by reselling or refurbishing it, and therefore by turning it into a more sustainable sofa. Other interesting example is the label in the image, which explains in a simple diagram the circular approach that the company itself is implementing. For further information and complete references, please consult the full text of the module.